Welcome to this week's episode of the Exchange Podcast. I'm Kevin Wormhold, and today I have joining me Jake Gutowitz and Branden Ciranni, who is the new host of the show, The Torch News, coming to you here live on LibertyCaster. LibertyCaster is a new network, and I just want to let you know we have other great content. LibertyCaster has great content, which include the Pace and Freedom podcast, the Commander's Table, who just joined us with Ken Armstrong. He's a vice presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party, and he is starting his own podcast, and he's agreed to be live 9 p.m. during the weekdays here on LibertyCaster. The Torch News, who these fine gentlemen sitting here and waiting for me to shut the hell up, but they got a great show coming up today at 4 p.m. will be the premiere episode, so you must join for them. We have Radio Free New York Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., 1 hour from Rochester, New York, with Kevin Wilson and Andrew Hollister. We have Tough Crowd with Brett Blackham, who is a comedian from Utah, who's he's joining the network to give some laughter, because we all need laughter in this time. And then you got me, the Exchange Podcast. We have other great content coming your way. We are adding more shows. Get with us right now. Follow the Facebook page with Facebook Live and YouTube. And I want to thank these two fine gentlemen. Thank you, Branden and Jake, for being patient and let me ramble on. Welcome to the Exchange. You have a great show coming up. I know, because I am one of the producer. So, listen, I want you guys to introduce yourselves to those who don't know who you are. Jake was a guest on my old podcast, American Liberty, when he ran for Nassau County legislator here in New York. So I have known Jake for a long time, and he brought in his good friend Branden, who is you guys work well together. So let's start with you, Jake. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name's Jake Gutowitz. I have recently graduated college. I recently ran for the Nassau County legislature, where we ran our campaign on trying to educate people in Nassau County, New York, about libertarianism. This seemed fairly successful, as I do believe that Nassau County libertarian enrollment has increased, if not ever so slightly. I'd like to think I was a part of that. And we have this great new show, The Torch News. And it looks like, Kevin, that our show will be in great company. Yes.
I think we're going to have a great lineup. People are sick and tired of the doom and gloom news, and that's something that you guys change. Branden, introduce yourself to everybody about yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Branden. I'm a data scientist from New York. I worked on Jake's campaign, and yeah, we're tired of the glooming news. We're tired of everybody, having a stick up their butt, for lack of a better word. I tune on the news, and all I hear is either someone died, or it's Ben Shapiro telling me that X, Y, and Z, getting angry all the time. No, I'm ready to have some fun with this. So you guys tune in, you'll see that with the Torch News.
Yes, every Monday at 4 p.m., the Torch News, we're going to start at that time slot. Make sure you tune in and set the alert to go off on YouTube and Facebook, so you do get notified when they do go live. We're going to show a clip here in a little bit. But I want to start with Jake. With your you started activism in college. And you've told me this story before about your experience on CW Post.
I think I've told everyone I know about this story.
Yes. But for those who don't know, just real quick, give a little bit of what happened at CW Post with the administration and your activism, which you started.
Sure. So what really got me politically active, like Kevin has said, is my experience at Long Island University, specifically at the Post campus up in Brookville. President Kimberly Klein has fashioned herself to be, for lack of a better word, a dictator. And it's a shame that any academic institution should run the way it is. And so what first made me become active and join the student government was in fall of my senior year. Some pamphlets started being passed around. They called themselves Common Sense, and they were written anonymously and passed around campus. Started calling out all of the issues in our administration, from moving to a Division I university and taking away scholarships from students who counted on them for 4 years because they were Division II athletes, to students having their classes cut and not being able to find classes that they need. And this pamphlet was immediately denounced and squashed. And in fact, public safety was ordered to go around campus multiple times cleaning up this seditious pamphlet. And that's what made me join the student government, because free speech is a fundamental right, not only of our country, but of academia. Without free speech, how are you supposed to have a free flow of ideas in academics? And I was lucky enough at Post that most of my professors I say most of my professors, all of my professors were very open-minded about student opinions. This wasn't some liberal left-wing campus that quashed other students' ideas. Professors were very open to discussion, especially being a libertarian on a college campus. You don't get a lot of allies, politically speaking, but I did get a lot of support from my professors. And so to not have support for free speech by our administration was a travesty. And so I joined the student government, where we fought for free speech. To this day, the student government at Post fights for free speech. In fact, I was informed a couple of weeks ago that due to coronavirus, the student government will not be holding elections for positions in the 2020-2021 year. They will, in fact, be appointing members of the student government.
Sounds a lot like the mess that the Libertarian National Party has, with they canceled the convention and pushed it to July, which gets closer to November without a real candidate as the leading candidate. So,
sure.
But all politics aside, speaking of dictators, Branden, you seem to, since I started work with you, have a little thing about Kim Jong-un, and you like to pick on the North Korean dictatorship. What's up with you and Kim? You got a crush on Kim? What's going on?
A little bit, I love I love me pudgy men, but but no, I don't know. I mean, I think that there's a certain place in my heart for just picking on the little things in the world. I think that you have to be able to make light out of certain harsh situations, right? So, yeah, I mean, Kim Jong-un, he's a funny guy, dresses like he's in Minecraft. He's like an obese version of Kylo Ren. Yeah, I don't know. Kim Jong-un's an interesting person, but the whole world's an interesting place.
Did you see how Trump yesterday gave his hands clapping, how happy he is that Kim Jong-un is okay?
Yeah. From that picture that's like in 480p resolution.
Yeah,
like that. Okay, yeah.
Maybe they cloned Kim Jong-un because their technology is so advanced because of the great freedoms that they have.
Trump is like, if that justifies as Kim Jong-un being alive and well, then the pictures of the Loch Ness monster justify it being real. Okay, it's not going to happen. Like that's like watching a YouTube video on like 128p resolution. It just doesn't happen. You don't do it.
I like what you guys are doing is you're bringing a little bit of laughter to news. I'm going to run a clip here in a minute, but like the guy I can't stand with the news, and I feel like every single time he comes on TV, it's like depression, is David Muir on ABC. Every time that guy comes on, the world is ending. It's an absolute travesty. And then at the last 1 minute, they'll show a clip of happiness, like a good story. But for the other 29 minutes, it's complete misery. And I can't stand watching the news. In fact, haven't watched the news for a couple of weeks. The only news I've watched was the Torch News as I was reviewing and editing your guys' video. But it's got to change. There's nothing but just terrible news and bad. People are stuck in their house. They don't want to always hear bad. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I do want to mention David Muir does have a 5.8 out of 10 on the IMDb rating, and I can't stand the guy. I think it's terrible.
Yeah, the problem is it is important for journalists to be able to investigate and call out the bad where they see it, right? It's important to have that check on government, on big business. It's important. But we have kind of gone over the line, and it's not just about checking these people. It seems to be about just brainwashing people with the negativity and almost desensitizing them to all of the negativity. I mean, you back in the 90s when we heard about the Rwandan genocide, people were up in arms about the Rwandan genocide. I don't think they would be today. I think it would just be another doom and gloom story on the news.
Right. Yeah. They don't seem to cover anything that I think it all ties into fear. They want, to get their agenda pushed ahead with fear. Is people are scared they could push agendas, and there's a big connection between politicians in Washington and the news because they want access. Let's just face it. I don't know how much access you guys would get other than libertarians. I'm going to throw it your way to come on your onto your show. So I can't guarantee. So you can't look for the doom and gloom and hope to grab some Democrats or Republicans on the show. But
sure,
I'll definitely get you guys some libertarians.
Maybe we can get our buddy Kim on the show.
Yeah, Kim Ruff. Yeah.
Kim
Jong-un. Oh, you want Kim Jong-un?
Yeah. Kim Ruff too. We would love to see Kim Ruff on our show, but Kim Jong-un.
So I'm going to play a clip here, guys. I'm going to bring it up here on the screen. Jake, you look amazing right there. But I'm going to go about
a lot to make me look amazing, so I appreciate it.
So here we go. We're going to go with a minute. This is a minute of the Torch News, which premieres later today at 4 p.m. Do not miss.
Yeah, really interesting. But, I mean, the vegans will be pissed off at us, but some farmers are having to smash their eggs. Yeah, I know. Come on, PETA.
I'm sure we could do something more fun with all these extra eggs than just smash them on the ground, right?
I mean, I guess you could throw them at your neighbors.
Throw them at your neighbors.
What are you going to
Como?
We have a lot of people that we can throw eggs at. So I guess what we're saying is best way to fight the virus right now is to eat more food, drink more milk, throw more eggs, have more French fries. You're not going to see anyone for 2 months anyway, so you might as well gain the weight, right?
Sure. Of course, there are those of us that can't afford to, but we will power through. It's like me and you have been training for this our entire lives. This whole quarantine, I mean, eat more potatoes, check. Don't go out, check. The only thing that we're not doing is I read an article that you need to have more sex for exercise.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Let's just switch the topic right there.
Great.
So you guys gotta find a way that, I mean, it's a little hard to increase your sex life during a pandemic, a quarantine where you can't even intermingle. That's my question is this: how do people meet people these days? Like I've seen like virtual datings going on now, where you get to see somebody over the screen, but like the whole going out and meeting somebody for the first time, they're wearing a mask. It's not like you could just bump into somebody at the grocery store and be like, hey, how are you? Would you like to get a cup of coffee? I have no idea what's going on under the mask. What do you guys think about that?
That serves us.
So helpful to you guys.
Helpful to us. We get to wear a mask when we pick up women.
You get Jedi mind trick them now.
Yes.
They got the
I am not the Jake you thought.
You really find me attractive.
Right. Surprise. It's too late. I'm here. Like, you can't kick me out now, right?
That's right.
So, what is your hope for the Torch News? What are you guys looking to bring to this network and just general people? I mean, people are, let's face it, we don't know how long this pandemic's going to last. We don't know how long what life will be like afterwards. What rules are going to be in place? What do you guys hope the Torch News could do for people? Start with you, Brandon.
I think it really just provides that lighter air to the news, right? What we're trying to do is a bird in the background.
I said you got it.
Yeah. He's trying.
Is Henry close by? Because he can join us.
He's pretty far away right now, but I think he's talking about his enthusiasm for the Torch News right now. He's a big fan, obviously, but I think that it really brings that lighter air to news. Everything is too serious, and people are already depressed as it is. There's a spike in people seeking therapy, seeking people psychiatric help during this time, and they don't need to be bogged down by the news of just a million people have the virus. 10,000 more people died today. There was this shooting here. This person's taking away your rights. I think that we really provide an alternative. Nowhere else you're going to talk about the Belgian potato farmers instead.
Right. Like I'm happy to see a broadcast where there's not a debt ticker on the window. I mean, you got the national debt ticker that keeps telling you how we're in $25 trillion of debt now, approaching 26 trillion. Like there's literally on every single network a debt ticker. How many people are dead in this state, in this country? How are you supposed to pay attention to anything else when you constantly see a debt ticker? And it's getting a little old. Jake, what do you hope for this Torch News going forward?
For so long, alternative voices have been shut out of the mainstream media. And finally, we live in a day and age where we don't need the mainstream media to get our ideas out there. We have the internet. We can do podcasts like this, like the many other podcasts on LibertyCaster. And it's my hope for this that we will build an audience who recognizes that there is an alternative voice out there. There has been all of this time, and that are now ready to begin listening.
You know, I want to touch a little bit on this Justin Amash entering the race, which you guys brought up as well in your premiere episode. But, you know, I one thing I want to talk about is, you know, Justin Amash enters the race. Donald Trump sends out a tweet. Okay. In 2016, Donald Trump never tweeted about Gary Johnson. And Gary Johnson was able to keep ballot access for a lot of states. They got a little over 5% of the national vote, I believe, for the Libertarian Party. He did some good things, you know, keeping, you know, ballot worthy nationally. And already Trump's tweeting about Amash. Do you guys think that's helpful to Amash in getting, you know, him a fair share at running this for president?
Yeah, I think so. I think that any publicity is good publicity at this point, right? I think that part of our platform is that it's trying to attract people that aren't normally libertarians onto the libertarian platform. You know, by being a little lighter, we hope to do that. I think Amash is doing a similar thing where he's not a conventional libertarian, but he's trying to attract people that are outside of the party, maybe, and maybe we'll pick up some extra followers that we didn't once have. I think that what Trump is doing, yeah, any publicity is great. You know, get the name out there. Right now, it's just a game of Twitter followers.
Mm-hmm. And Jake, you seem to be a little skeptical of Amash over time about his late entry. You know, give me a little bit about, you know, why are you so skeptical about Amash? I mean, let's face it, name recognition is a huge problem for the Libertarian Party. And Amash has that name recognition because he did get kicked out. Like Trump gave him the name recognition.
Yes.
Made him, you know, he's famous already in Michigan, but now nationally, we know who Justin Amash is because he got kicked out of the Republican Party or left on his own accord, of course. But he was getting kicked out anyway.
Sure.
Because whatever the, you know, the Fuhrer says happens.
Sure.
Yeah, Jake, a little bit of what you think about this Amash, because I know you're a little skeptical about his late entry.
Sure. You know, it's not really the late entry that bothers me. You know, I am nervous about welcoming politicians into the party who have spent so much time and effort fighting for one of these two major political parties. I call them political dynasties in our country. You know, Justin Amash launched his career on the back of Republican backing and Republican blood money. And much as Justin Amash has a good voting record in Congress, and I don't necessarily believe that Justin Amash will compromise or has had to necessarily compromise his ideals during his career. It just makes me nervous that a man was willing to compromise, because to me, joining the Republican Party would be a compromise, right? As an aspiring politician, joining the Republicans and accepting their money would be a compromise of my ideals. I fear someone who for a decade compromised his ideals in that way. I hope I'm wrong.
Listen, I think he's principled, though, in the fact that he could have easily, when Trump threatened to throw him out and the rest of the Republican Party threatened to throw him out, could have changed his ways, which most politicians do. I think the only one that's, I would say, has the integrity that Amash has that I would like to see change his R to an L would be Thomas Massey. I'm a big fan of his. He's a smart guy. You know, he's another one that caught some flack when they signed that, the $2 trillion stimulus bill. It was built in a way, and we're going to wrap up with this topic, and I want to get you guys' input on this. Let's face it, they lost their jobs. The government forced them to shut down, and 26 million people, I think is the last number, have gone unemployed since this pandemic started. That's a lot of people, okay? You still need to put food on the table, provide for your family, provide for your kids, pay your bills, especially if you live in New York. Your rent's at least over $2,000 for a one-bedroom here in New York. I mean, they're getting $1,200. So $1,200 stimulus check. Plus, if you are a small business owner and you have to go to the bank to get the loans that were approved in that bill, guess what? You're paying a fee to the bank to fill out the application. So the banks, once again, winning out by getting how many millions of people are signing up for these loans through the banks?
Sure. And that's if big businesses haven't scooped up all the money yet, which in the first batch they did.
Yes, Shake Shack. Let's talk about Shake Shack. Shake Shack. I love Shake Shack. But I got to be honest with you. That's a big company. Got thousands of employees. I get it, but they're still allowed to be open right now.
Yes.
You can still get food from Shake Shack. A lot of businesses that retail especially is going to get crushed. I think that after this is over, we could look at a future where literally everything is bought online. It's going to be the Amazon. Amazon's becoming king, and Amazon actually, Bezos recently reported that the $4 billion in projected profit for the quarter that they were going to have, he told the shareholders that, sorry, that $4 billion is going to reinvest in PPEs, test kits. So I'd like to get your thoughts on that, Brandon. What do you think? Is Bezos, who has been attacked previously and by some libertarians because of crony capitalism, with the amount of, he doesn't pay taxes at all. I mean, good for him, but when everybody else does, what do you think about this? I mean, he's stepping up here. Is he doing the right thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that any business effort to provide some relief here is a great thing that we should, look at and think. I think that to some degree, some business efforts are always just to gain social currency, to say, oh, look at what we did. And then they use that, and, people become more fans of the brand. That's just something that businesses do. I think Jeff Bezos has been criticized a lot in the past. Last time he gave like $10 billion and liberals still criticized him, saying you could give more. It's $10 billion. What do you want from me?
So that's the other question. Now that he's doing this voluntarily, without government saying you must do this, are they going to ask for more next time?
I mean, probably, right? Like, I mean, you're always going to have somebody that's saying, well, you have $120 billion net worth. Why can't you give 60? I don't know. Like, there's always going to be someone asking for more. I think he's doing a good thing, though. I mean, I think that any company that's going to reinvest, either take precautionary measures aside from layoffs is really outstanding, because right now you have a lot of companies that are not protecting their employees. They're protecting their investors, not their employees. Right. If they wanted to protect their employees, they would go into bankruptcy. If they want to protect their investors, then they do things like have layoffs, and they don't even cut down your earnings per share. So they're protecting the people that, invest in the volatile stock. I think that a lot of companies are doing the right thing here. A lot of companies are doing the right thing. Some companies are doing the wrong thing.
Amazingly, who has been silent on this issue is AOC, the one who chased Amazon out of New York, chased jobs out of New York, which listen, they didn't need tax breaks to build. They are a major corporation, billions of dollars. They don't pay taxes to begin with. So I understand that argument, but she did chase him out of here, and she's been very silent about the goodwill that he has just done. Not one peep out of her. They're very selective on what they want to address. And, I feel like this is something, and Jake, you answer this one. The Libertarian Party has previously, and libertarians in general, have previously been, I guess, cold-hearted, people would say, about how we feel about issues with taxes and government subsidies in certain programs, and we don't care about education because we don't want to pay the taxes to education. Right. But where do you think they should? I mean, he's doing something very libertarian here.
But there's a couple of thoughts on this, right? As far as Jeff Bezos goes, what it really comes down to is libertarians don't really believe in the government enforcing morality. They believe in a social contract, right? And what it comes down to is Jeff Bezos fulfilling his end of the social contract? Now, the three of us could sit here for the next hour and debate that. And so I'm not even going to start on that. But I think that has to be the question on libertarians' minds is Jeff Bezos fulfilling his end of the contract?
Right.
I don't think he is. I think with the amount of government subsidy and the amount of shady things that Amazon does to its employees, I mean, they're outright terrible to their warehouse employees. I don't think he's upholding the end. But again, don't need to debate that. As far as being cold-hearted, I think libertarians get confused sometimes about what it really means to support the less fortunate in our society. And I think this became a big issue when we talk about healthcare. Healthcare is a hot topic today. Healthcare was, Brandon will say it, or Brandon has said it. Healthcare was a hot topic that got President Obama elected. And you'll see a lot of people out there calling themselves libertarians say, well, if you're not working, then you can't get healthcare. If you can't pay for it, then you shouldn't get healthcare. And that's not really the message we want to send. You know, as a libertarian, my biggest problem with socialized healthcare is not providing healthcare to people who need it. I mean, this is the 21st century. We do not need poor people dying on our streets simply for the fact that they are poor. My problem is once the government starts spending money on something, they tend to start making decisions about that something.
Right.
And so it comes down to, I don't trust Donald Trump to make medical decisions for me.
I personally just don't trust the government in general to manage my money. That's the thing. I mean, you take anything and they screw it up. They make it cost more money than it is because they have to pay X, Y, and Z directors, to have meetings about it and to do this and that. It ends up costing you twice what it would normally cost you. I mean, look, I'm very much for everyone getting health care. I think that is I'm not going to go to the.
Nobody wants sick kids. Nobody wants sick family members. Nobody wants it.
I would go as far to say healthcare is a human right. I know a lot of libertarians are going to be upset about that statement.
Well, here's the problem. Healthcare is only this expensive and this much of an issue because of government interference to begin with. We would not have to even have this discussion because the reason why it costs so much to go to the doctor is because of all the bullshit administrative fees and everything else. You must have this many people. You ever see a doctor come in the office? There's 15 people surrounding him. Half of them are just administrators writing stuff down. Is that absolutely necessary?
And the government keeps granting patents on life-saving drugs to multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical corporations.
Something I always like to point out, and I'm not picking on anybody specifically, but when we're talking about the libertarian brand here and promoting liberty, when this is your leader in the race, it's a little bit hard for everyday people to see that as a viable candidate who's seeking to become president of the United States and interact with foreign leaders and whatnot.
At least he brushes his teeth, right?
He does brush his teeth.
Big toothbrush.
Which, to be fair, is probably more than President Trump does.
It's true. Actually, they look a little bit cleaner than.
I think with healthcare though, my biggest concern is that whenever the government does something, it does it wrong, and typically this leads in lower quality healthcare for a higher premium. And I think that's what has a lot of people mad because they want good healthcare that actually covers things. I don't want to have to, last year I had to get an X-ray, I had to get X-rays, MRIs, and all of that. I was dishing out tons of money out of pocket. And it's none of this stuff is covered. Unless I just want a doctor to stick a stethoscope on my back and tell me I'm breathing okay, I have to pay a bunch of money extra out of pocket for it.
Right.
That doesn't exactly sound like a healthcare plan. That would be like if insurance told you, okay, you got in an accident, now here you have to pay for the entire value of your car. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, the people who are making these rules and the people in Congress, there's only a few people who are actual doctors. Everybody's a lawyer. So you think about the connection between lawyers and writing excessive, complicated law that nobody could understand with all types of loopholes that favor certain people who donate to their campaigns every time.
Shout out to Dr. Rand Paul, who we would love to see on our show.
Yes, Dr. Rand Paul is he's one of the guys that I would say. I mean, he hasn't practiced in a while, but
I'd let him clean my teeth.
Yeah, I would definitely let him have a little bit more influence on what goes on there. But I want to wrap up with you guys. You guys are gonna be premiering later today at 4 p.m. on LibertyCast Network. You guys, it's going to be a weekly show. We're going to get some guests and everything going forward. What do you want to say to people who make a pitch why they should watch you guys? Go ahead. Start with you, Jake. Why should everybody tune into you and Brandon here? Because the media does not allow alternative voices. We will be that alternative voice. We will present alternative ideas to you. And everyone should have all of the alternative ideas in their mind when they're making decisions. Absolutely. Brandon. No, I agree. I think that we're different, right? You could tune on CNN and you can get your illegitimate news there. You can tune into
whatever Alex Jones is saying and get your illegitimate news there, or you can tune into what we're saying and get some slightly legitimate news, and that's okay. I think that we provide an alternative voice, just something that's not conventional. Nowhere else are you going to get people talking about liberty in a way that doesn't sound crazy,
Right.
and also with a dash of less seriousness to it. We don't need to hear about people dying in the streets now.
Yeah, I think I've already learned something thanks to Jake that sex life must improve during the quarantine in order to help you stay healthy. But I want to thank you guys for coming on and joining, getting the word out there about your show. And I just want to remind everybody, LibertyCast, it does have great content, which include Pace and Freedom, the Commander's Table, Torch News, Radio Free New York, Tough Crowd, and the Exchange Podcast. The Commander's Table will be premiering on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Ken Armstrong has a guest. He will be interviewing. It'll be an hour-long stream. It will be live. And listen, join in, comment. 4 o'clock later today. Make sure you tune in for these guys and their show. Make comments, ask questions, and next week maybe they'll start pulling in some of these questions and answering them. You may get some questions you don't like, some things, and you could at least respond and maybe talk a little shit back to them. So I'm sure just like most libertarian channels out there, there's a lot of guys that like to make take little digs and talk some crap. So I look forward to hearing from you guys and seeing you guys move forward with the show. Thanks for tuning in and joining here on The Exchange. You can also follow The Exchange Podcast on our regular YouTube channel, The Exchange Podcast. Download on any podcast catcher, Apple, iTunes. These guys will also have on Apple, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Spotify. You can download their content if you like to just listen to content rather than watch it like you're still back in the 50s. But hey, if you want to watch the content, you can watch it here on Facebook Live and YouTube channel. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. Hey, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Subscribe to the show, like it, and comment. Also, if you want the audio version because you're traveling, you're in the car, and you can't watch it, you don't have time to watch the episodes, you could go in the show notes. There is a link provided. Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio, whatever your pleasure may be. Join me and listen via the audio versions on those other platforms, okay? But I really like YouTube. I like the way it's working out. And if you can subscribe, the more subscribers, the better the content I can provide you. And it costs you nothing. So I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.